Hello everybody, welcome back to yet another video of FikarNot.com, now FikarNot from Studies. So today we are going to be studying about greenhouse effect and global warming. Furthermore, we'll discuss about carbon monoxide because it also consists of carbon. The greenhouse effect and global warming is included in the carbon dioxide part of this chapter because greenhouse effects and global warming has a lot to do with carbon dioxide as a whole. Global warming also does because greenhouse effects and global warming, they're correlated, and carbon monoxide definitely has carbon in them, carbon in it. So we are also going to be studying about that. In the end, if we have time, we will also have a thorough revision of the full complete chapter. So without further ado, let's get into it. So greenhouse effects and global warming in colder regions, okay? People grow plants in a house made up of glass walls. What do? They grow plants in a house made up of glass walls. Now, I don't know if you've seen this, but in movies sometimes you see this, right? With the people who are wearing jackets, as in it's a cold place, of course, right? They take their plants or anything like so from inside of a glass house, which is actually something like this. But what does it do? Well, these glass walls allow the sun's heat to enter but do not allow it to escape. It makes the glass house warm from inside. This helps the plants to grow. So when we say that in colder regions, so when we say it is a cold region, we conclude by saying that there is very minimal amount of sun that comes in, and there is more of the cold weather, the winter weather, right? So if we keep plants outside that are only meant for photosynthesis, because every plant needs to get that photosynthesis in, right? Because that's the process of eating food. So without sunlight, how will they survive? So this glass house, what it does is it takes the sun in. Okay, whenever the sun comes in, it passes through the glass because it's a glass wall, it's a transparent glass because you can see through it, right? But it never lets it escape. This makes the environment warm itself. That means this helps what does it do? It helps the sun or the whole room be completely warm. But as much as this sounds like almost like magical, that that's so great. I mean, this looks pretty fancy as well, and it's very nice. I mean, for an environment like this, but it has some disadvantages as well, which I will explain it to you in 2 to 3 minutes, right? So radiations of the sun strike the Earth's surface and get reflected. Carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere traps some of these radiations and prevents them from escaping. This keeps the Earth warm and makes the existence of life possible. The gases that trap the solar radiations are called as greenhouse gases. So this is how carbon dioxide is related to greenhouse gas, as in a greenhouse effect or a global warming effect, because carbon dioxide itself is a greenhouse gas. That means it traps the sun's radiation. Even though this is good for us, again, there is a disadvantage behind it. So carbon dioxide is definitely one of the greenhouses, we know that. And, some of the other greenhouse gases are methane, water vapor, ozone, you can say chlorofluorocarbons. It's a little confusing. It just say chloro, then say fluoro, and then say carbons. So it's a chlorofluorocarbons and oxides of nitrogen. So warming up of the Earth's atmosphere due to the trapping of heat radiations by greenhouse gases in the atmosphere is called as the greenhouse effect. So what is the greenhouse effect? What is the greenhouse effect? Well, it is the warming up of the Earth's atmosphere due to the greenhouse gases, due to the greenhouse gases, and because they trap the heat's radiations in the atmosphere is called as greenhouse effect. Yes, I did say this in my own words, and I expect you to do the same. Do not look at the textbook while I repeat it again. Just say it in your own words. Neither am I looking at the textbook, I promise. So, let's say this definition, right? The warming up of the Earth's atmosphere due to due to the trapping of heat radiations by the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere is called as, well, perfect. I hope you also didn't look at the textbook like I did not. Okay, perfect. So the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is increased due to the excessive burning of fuels. And what happens after this is other greenhouse gases that are there are also introduced in the atmosphere along with definitely carbon dioxide, because the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is increased because there are more fuels that are burnt, right? But there are other greenhouse gases also that are introduced in this atmosphere due to pollution. It has increased the rate of the greenhouse effect. Now this is how we relate the glass situation to this. Do you see how it relates? Sun is coming in the glass, in the glass structure. Perfect. I think it's a perfect environment for the plants as well, because they need that warmth environment and that moisture for their growth, because all of this is important. But if there is too much sun as well, the plants may dry up, and this is exactly what is happening with us. The greenhouse gases are trapping the sun's radiation, and this is having such a harmful effect on us, be it the UV radiations that are harmful for the eyes and all of this. And it is very, very, very harmful for us. So even though this may seem like an advantage, that it's nice, sun is coming, we cannot just live in a cold region, but excessive is also really very harmful, and that is what the world is facing right now. The pollution, the UV radiations, several health problems due to this. Well, it is just because of this. So the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is increased due to the excessive burning of fuels, and other greenhouse gases are also introduced in atmosphere due to the pollution, and it has increased the rate of the greenhouse effect that leads to increase in the average temperature of the earth. This is called global warming. So global warming is the rise in the average temperature of the earth's atmosphere. And the effects of global warming are, first, that global warming adversely affects monsoon rains, because the earth's temperature is so high that our plants, they cannot grow anymore because it affects the monsoon rains. Second one would be, it causes a change in the pattern of seasons, because a lot of in India especially, even if I talk about UAE or India or Africa or Australia, any of these countries or continents, one thing that happens everywhere around the world is that, let's take an example of India itself, okay? August, or you can say August, September, these months are meant to rain. It's a monsoon season. So farmers, they look forward to that monsoon season, and so do the public as well, especially for the people who like the monsoon weather, like me. So during this weather, definitely there is rain, there is sometimes thunder, but not a lot, but it's just a very pleasant weather. But due to the the rise in the average temperature of the earth, what happens is the temperature increases. It covers up the clouds, and the clouds are not able to take out their water in the form of rain. And then Farmers are disheartened, and so is the public. So it causes a change of a pattern in weathers. If sometimes it's like, okay, these many months there will be, like, the rainy season, but the temperature is so high that sometimes this just does not happen. And third one would be, it causes melting of polar ice, thereby raising the level of water in seas and oceans. This may cause floods in coastal areas, and the submerge in many low-lying areas. So for the people who did not understand this point, let me explain this to you. So of course, in the Arctic regions or any regions of those kind, right? Over there, that there are icebergs, there are polar ices on top of the oceans and the seas, because it's a really very cold region. But once again, what is global warming? It's the rise in the average temperature of the Earth's atmosphere. So what happens is, due to this rise in the atmosphere, the polar ice, the ice or the polar, or the icebergs for that matter, they keep on melting. And once they melt, what happens? It becomes into water. What happens? It melts, right? So it changes into water. Its state of matter changes. And once it does, the temperature of the, say, water, right, from here may change to here. And this may cause floods, because if someone's house is right here, well, one more iceberg or polar ice, it's melted and their house is gone. So it's very, very hard for the people who are living in coastal areas as well. So these are the effects of global warming. But the steps of preventing global warming is something that we have read a lot, and we should learn it too, because apart from it coming in your exams, we really need to know how we should save our environment, because at the end, this environment this earth, it will come to an end if we don't take care of it. I know I may sound like a really very boring teacher right now, but trust me, it is really very true. Take care of your environment, okay? So global warming can be reduced by maintaining the balance of carbon dioxide in air. It can be done by reducing the consumptions of fossil fuels, like solar energy, biogas, using filters in chimneys or factories, and by growing more and more trees. So these are some ways we can prevent global warming as well. Well, perfect. With this, we come to an end of the greenhouse effect and the global warming part of this chapter. Now let's move on to some questions, and then we will move on to the carbon monoxide part of this chapter, of course. So this chapter also consists of some topics that we did in our last class, such as fire extinguishers and etc. So we will get that out now, and or you can just say we'll revise it thoroughly. So for the people who have not seen that video yet, go ahead and see that video and come back so that you can answer the questions with me as well. So which of the following is used in fire extinguishers to extinguish fire? Okay. Is it a methane? Is it bromine? Is it chlorine? Or is it carbon dioxide? I think we all know the answer. It is definitely carbon dioxide. Perfect. In foam type fire extinguishers, sodium bicarbonate reacts with aluminium sulfate. Don't get confused, it's aluminium sulfate. That's why the aluminium and hydroxide, they react, and sodium and sulfate react. And definitely carbon dioxide is released. Or then, which of the following fire extinguishers is used to put off electrical fires? The fire extinguisher that does not have water, because water conducts electricity, right? So it cannot be soda acid type fire extinguisher. It cannot be foam type fire extinguisher. Well, then it is liquid carbon dioxide fire extinguisher. because both of them have water. And I got some doubts when I posted the other video saying that, ma'am, how is water produced in soda acid type fire extinguisher? No, sorry, not soda type. It's foam type fire extinguisher. Well, one of the reactants, or you can say the products, is aluminium hydroxide. Now, hydroxide is H2O itself. Hydroxide may be in the form of OH, but over here there are two elements or two atoms of hydrogen, and there is one atom of oxygen as well. So we call that hydroxide in the form of water itself. Okay? Yeah? Okay. Percentage of carbon dioxide in atmosphere is balanced by the carbon cycle. That's right. It is the carbon cycle that balances it. Which of the following activities does not contribute towards the addition of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere? And it is respiration. Definitely respiration, right? Because when we exhale, carbon dioxide is released of our body. Volcanic eruptions, photosynthesis, or combustion of fuels? Little tough question, right? I think a lot of brains are, you are thinking about it, but the answer is actually photosynthesis. Even though plants respirate and carbon dioxide is used in that, plants use that in the morning during their photosynthesis. So, photosynthesis is the right answer. Which of the following is not a greenhouse gas? Carbon dioxide, methane, chlorofluorocarbons, or oxygen? Well, it is oxygen actually, because oxygen is not a greenhouse gas. It is a good gas. It doesn't cause global warming. So, it's oxygen. Perfect. The percentage of carbon dioxide in the air is about 0.03%. The gases that trap the solar radiations are called as greenhouse gases. The rise in average temperature of the Earth's atmosphere is called as global warming. And last but definitely not the least, global warming can be reduced by maintaining the balance of oxygen in the air. Because oxygen, if it's balanced, definitely there can be a change in the environment. But along with the balance of oxygen, actually the answer will be carbon dioxide. Even though oxygen is not a greenhouse gas, carbon dioxide is in excess. So we need to balance that. So the answer will actually be carbon dioxide for all those people who thought it is oxygen. Perfect. Now let's finally move on to the carbon monoxide part of this chapter. So carbon monoxide is a compound of carbon. It contains one atom of carbon and one atom of oxygen. It is a very highly poisonous gas, because this reaction that seems very simple, carbon monoxide, okay, one atom of carbon, one atom of oxygen, they both come together and form this gas called carbon monoxide. But well, this gas is so deadly that someone can die. So let's study about this. I think it's more interesting to study about this right now, right? So the occurrence is carbon monoxide gas does not occur naturally. Actually, it is released as an exhaust from automobiles. It runs in volcanic gases and tobacco fumes. Tobacco, if you don't know, is actually a cigarette. Now, formation of carbon monoxide is that when carbon or its compounds is burnt in a limited supply of air or oxygen. Okay, that means when carbon or any of its compounds, again, now any of its compounds, we learned this during the preparation of carbon dioxide, right? Because be it carbon or any of its allotropes for that matter, or any of its compounds that has carbon in it, like coke for that matter, if we burn it in a limited supply of oxygen. Why limited? Because we don't want two carbon atoms, right? Sorry, we don't want two oxygen atoms. We only want one oxygen atom, which will create not carbon dioxide but carbon monoxide. So it is a product of incomplete combustion of carbon, because if the complete combustion takes place, carbon dioxide will come out. Carbon monoxide is also produced by the incomplete combustion of wood and animal dung cakes. So this means, if you have ever been to India, okay, or any village, I know about India. So in villages over there, okay, you must have seen a very common thing that takes place. In villages, dung cakes, as in cow's dung, right? Cow's dung, as in the cow's solid waste, if we call it that way. Yeah, that is used. They are made into cakes, as in they're slapped by both hands from front, back, back and forth, back and forth. And once that is done, it forms cake-like structures that are also known as cow dung cakes. And in villages, okay, this wood and animal dung cakes, which normally it is used of a cow, they are burnt in an open furnace. So after they make these cow dung cakes, they slap it on to a wall. And once they slap it onto a wall, it dries off. And then they use it as a fuel to cook food. In your textbook, it may be written animal dung cakes or wood dung cakes, but I'm talking about the villages in India where this practice is done. They're also known as chulas, where cow dung cakes are slapped onto a wall, they are dried overnight or for 1 to 2 days, and then it is used the next day as a fuel. It's almost like when you use wood and you use diesel to light up a fire, a campfire, if I say so. This, on the other hand, is used to cook food. So it's generally made by bricks and clay, named as chula, for cooking food. So during this process, a noticeable amount of harmful carbon dioxide gas is released in the environment, because what happens is it is burnt incomplete. It is in the incomplete combustion of carbon, and carbon monoxide gas is produced in the environment. Coal or coke is used in domestic and industrial ovens. In an oven, carbon burns in the presence of oxygen to produce carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide passes through the heat layers of coke and gas gets reduced to carbon monoxide. Carbon plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide plus heat. Carbon dioxide plus coke gives carbon monoxide. And the carbon monoxide burns with a pale blue flame that forms carbon dioxide at the top of the oven. So what happens is, first there is carbon dioxide, but then there is coke also. That means you have one carbon atom as coke, you have one carbon atom as carbon dioxide, and two oxygen atoms in the carbon dioxide. Now one coke atom will join to the carbon dioxide. So what will happen? There will be two carbon atoms and there will be two oxygen atoms. Both of them will be cancelled and it will be known as carbon monoxide. That is why we say it is reduced, because those two carbon atoms will be reduced to one and those two oxygen atoms will be reduced to one. And together they will form carbon monoxide. So carbon monoxide burns with a pale blue flame and forms carbon dioxide at the top of the oven. In automobiles, petrol or diesel, it is used as fuel. Both petrol and diesel contain carbon and hydrogen. They burn in a limited supply of oxygen and it forms carbon monoxide. So some properties of carbon monoxide is that first, it is an odorless gas, as in it does not have any smell in it, but it does not take away from the fact that it is very, very harmful. It has a faint color and is a highly poisonous gas. It is a non-supporter of combustion. However, it is combustible and burns with a blue flame to form carbon dioxide. It is sparingly soluble in water and it does not decompose even at high temperature because it's thermally stable. So this was some of the properties of carbon monoxide. As always, we are going to go through a little revision. So first, it is an odorless gas. That's the first thing. It is a highly poisonous gas and it is very faint. It has a faint odor. It is a non-supporter of combustion. It is sparingly soluble in water, and also it what is it? Yeah, it does not decompose at high temperature because it is thermally stable. Perfect. So these were the 5 properties of carbon dioxide, and now let's go on to the reducing action of carbon monoxide. So carbon monoxide, oops, I went on to the last page by mistake. I'm extremely sorry. So reducing action of carbon monoxide is a strong reducing agent because it has a strong affinity for oxygen. It reduces the oxides of less reactive metals to their respective metals. For example, ferric oxide plus carbon monoxide in the presence of heat, of course, gives iron plus carbon dioxide. And similarly with other metals or oxides as well. But some harmful effects of carbon monoxide is that sleeping in a closed room with coal fire is dangerous. It is because there is a limited supply of oxygen in a closed room to burn coal. It produces carbon monoxide. When we inhale carbon monoxide, it combines with hemoglobin to form a very stable compound called Carboxyhemoglobin. Carboxyhemoglobin reduces the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood and results in headache and suffocation. It may even cause death. So, what happens is one thing. You know those charcoals, right? Let's say you have a great party at your home. And in this party, you decide to do the barbecue. So, barbecue causes carbon monoxide and it releases the carbon monoxide gas. And you decide to do it in a closed room inside your hall because you think, oh, it'll be a lot of pollution outside and I want to save the environment. I don't know why you think that, but you do. So, you close the windows and all of that of your hall, and you also close the door or your living room, right? Then you heat your burger patties and all of that out. Now what happens? The fuel that releases is carbon monoxide. Since all the doors and the windows are closed in your room, what happens? In a limited supply of oxygen, because there are no plants also, right? Plants will not do anything in this. In a limited supply of oxygen, the carbon monoxide gas gets so deadly that you inhale it. Now, once you do, tell me that red blood cell. Why does the red blood cell become red? Let's go back to that biology class, right? Well, I think it's because of hemoglobin, right? So, when this fume or carbon monoxide gas, it goes inside your body right to the red blood cells and it meets hemoglobin. Hemoglobin says, hey, let's mix it up and let's make like a different compound. Carbon monoxide says, sure, but I'm not sure if that'll be good. Now hemoglobin is feeling crazy, so he's like, okay, fine, we'll mix. They mix up to form carboxyhemoglobin. Now carboxyhemoglobin together becomes so evil that it reduces the oxygen level that your blood carries. And this results in headache and suffocation, and it may even cause death. So now you understand why carbon monoxide is so deadly and harmful, unless and until you do it outside in the outdoors, because there isn't a limited supply of oxygen in the room. Second one, burning of fuels. Now, when automobiles produce carbon monoxide and gas along with other gases, when we start a car engine inside a closed garage, carbon monoxide is produced. It may increase the risk of poisoning. So, carbon monoxide poisoning is also one thing, because excess of carbon monoxide, when it is produced in a closed room, poisoning occurs, and that's why you get suffocation, headache, and this poisoning can even cause death. And the third one would be smoke from tobacco contains traces of carbon monoxide. It can damage your respiratory system. So now you know why all those ads or all those public places say no smoking. Not only because there are friends and family also present over there, but also because this carbon monoxide causes poisoning. People can almost die with this carbon monoxide. So that is why never ever intake it, okay? Now, some remedies for carbon monoxide poisoning is the victim should be given artificial respiration with Carbogen, which is a mixture of 95% of oxygen and 5% of carbon. The victim should be brought into open because when you're in the open, you get in more oxygen, and the supply of oxygen, it increases again. Now, some precautions to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning would be when the concentration of carbon monoxide increases, we should wear gas masks. These masks absorb carbon monoxide and oxidize it to carbon dioxide. Such masks are made up of hop collet. Now, I want you to answer one thing. Gas masks. Have we studied this before? I give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. If you know the answer, quickly put it in the comment section while I recite the answer. Gas masks. Absorption. Is it related? Well, of course it is, because we have learned this in wood charcoal. Wood charcoal absorbs, and it's a good absorbent of gases and liquids, right? So one of its main properties is to absorb. Understood? Perfect. Now with this, we are done with carbon monoxide and greenhouse gases and everything at all. I hope you enjoyed and understood each and everything of this chapter. Before I leave you, we will actually do a quick revision because we have time left. So here is our revision of whatever we have learned. So which of the following is produced when carbon or its compounds are burnt in a limited supply of oxygen? Definitely carbon monoxide, right? So carbon monoxide. Which of the following is not a property of carbon monoxide gas? It is a colorless gas, faint odor, poisonous gas. Well, it is not non-combustible. It is a combustion. I mean, it is a supporter of combustion. Because it does, even though it is a non-supporter, it is combustible when it burns with a blue flame to form carbon dioxide. Then when ferric oxide reacts with carbon monoxide, it gets, what happens? Well, it gets reduced to iron. Which of the following is not an effect of carbon monoxide? Carboxyhemoglobin reduces oxygen carrying capacity. Well, that's true. Smoke from tobacco damages respiratory system. That is also true. Helps in photosynthesis in plants. That's not true. Carbon dioxide helps in the photosynthesis of plants. State whether the following statements are true or false. In oven, carbon dioxide passed through the heated layers of coal and gets reduced to carbon monoxide. Well, that is a strong true. Carbon monoxide is a weak reducing agent. Okay, we should sleep in a closed room with coal fire. That's false. We shouldn't do that. Never do that. In the case of carbon monoxide poisoning, victims should be brought in the open. That's true, and this is a false. Perfect. So there is your revision. If you want extra revision, go and check out each of my videos. In that, you will get a complete revision of all the chapters that we have been studying. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.